we start talking about the most regressed movement we can think of in each of those categories that I talked about: squatting, pushing, pulling, hinging, or hip dominant and carrying. And just based on what we have availability wise, that tends to work best with us with our landmine apparatus. It's basically a sleeve that sticks into the side of the wall. I think probably most people watching this are pretty familiar with that landmine apparatus, because of our weight room structure, because of limited space, and limited squat racks to try to get large amount of kids in their first time programming. We'll do a majority, if not all, of those movements from that position, and then start slowly progressing them up into maybe a kettlebell or a dumbbell, and then ultimately into moving into our barbell movement. So, for example, let's say we're talking about a hip dominant movement. We'll start talking about a bilateral hip hinge movement with the landmine in the center of their body. Then maybe we'll progress that up to a single leg or a unilateral hip hinge with one arm and one leg. And then we'll progress that to either into maybe a kettlebell swing or a kettlebell hip hinge if we're not quite ready to handle those velocities. And then we'll start moving into barbells. And so for us, that's kind of a quick and dirty overview of how we move kids up from that block zero. And I know everybody's block zero looks a little bit different. Some people would stay with body weight a little bit longer, or maybe exclusively for a certain period of time. For me, I look at saying nothing wrong with an extended period of time with calisthenics or body weight for long periods of time. My concern with that and my previous experience shows that if I don't let kids get their hands on the barbell, they have a hard time continuing to be bought in. Like they show up in our weight room, they want to lift weights. I'm not going to turn them loose, and we're not going to get under. We're not going to start jumping into our Olympic lift movements, but I also have to give them a little bit of something, a little incentive to keep coming back. So our landmine block zero programming works pretty well with that. So yeah, hopefully that kind of answers a little bit of that question with our block zero programming.